afternoon, everybody. My name is Fabian Levy, and I serve as Deputy Mayor for Communications for the City of New York. Thank you for joining us for our weekly in-person media availability. We hope everyone is staying safe and healthy as temperatures continue to rise this week. To update New Yorkers on the work we are doing every day to protect public safety, rebuild our economy, and make our city more livable, the mayor has once again convened senior leadership here from across our administration to take your questions. So joining us today, we have Mayor Eric Adams, Chief of Staff Camille Joseph Varlick, Chief Advisor to the Mayor Ingrid Lewis-Martin, Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services Ann Williams Isom, Deputy Mayor for Housing, Economic Development and Workforce Maria Torres Springer, Deputy Mayor for Operations Mayor Joshi, Deputy Mayor for Strategic Initiatives Anna Almanzar, Chief Counsel Lisa Zornberg, Director of Intergovernmental Affairs Tiffany Raspberry, and New York City Emergency Management Commissioner Zach Iscol. So without further delay, I'll turn it over to Mayor Adams.
Thanks so much, DM Levy. Good morning to everyone, or good afternoon, actually. Started a little late today. We just want to quickly, I want to thank Commissioner Iscol, who's joining us today. He was with us earlier today, the Chief of Staff and I and other team members to talk about the heat index. And we gave a list of recommendations. We want people to really be conscious. We expanded and we'll continue to open up our cooling centers tomorrow through Thursday, and New Yorkers can find additional ways to stay cool by calling 311. And I thought Dr. Fassan did an excellent presentation of explaining how this can impact those with pre-existing conditions and even those without. And so we're really encouraging people to sign up for Notify NYC. The city's free emergency notification system, which will help you get updated and stay updated. Just switching to our economy for a moment. Last week we announced we're on track to deliver over 14,000 apprenticeship opportunities by the end of the year. This is way ahead of our schedule, nearly halfway towards the 30,000 apprenticeships by 2030, something that DM Maria Torres Springer talks about often. A great job with her team. These apprenticeships really place our young people on the pathway to learning the type of employment and profession that they would like to go into. And lastly, livability. The Public Realm Report. Last week, our team released the Realm of Possibilities, the report highlighting 15 ways our administration is improving public space for New Yorkers, from eliminating those darn sheds that we are taking down to the country's largest outdoor dining program, to planting thousands of trees and ensuring schoolyards are open. Really excited about that, and it falls in line with our Charter Revision Commission. A great deal of hearings. The entire team, we got 2 coming up in the Bronx and in Brooklyn. I want to really thank Diana Savino. Normally we see her around, but she has really taken the hearings and allowed New Yorkers to come. 8.3 million New Yorkers. As you know, 35 million opinions. And trust me, we're hearing a lot of them inside the hearings and outside the hearing. Those who are interested, it's on the screen, New York City, nyc.gov/charter URL. The meetings will continue throughout June and July, and for more information, the website is on the screen, as I just mentioned. So I'll turn it over to you, DM Levy.
Thank you.
For questions.
Great. Kayla?
Mayor, how are you?
Quite well. Good to see you.
I have 2 questions. The first one has to do with 250 individual suits that were filed against the city by people who said they were sexually abused at the juvenile detention centers. And I'm wondering your reaction to it, but also as somebody who was in one of those juvenile detention centers, did you see it? Did you think it was horrible? Does these suits mean more to you because you experienced it? And the second question has to do with violence in Brownsville. Apparently there were 2 seniors who were shot over the weekend, 3 kids before that, and we're wondering if you need to change the strategy for dealing with gun violence in that neighborhood.
What I found very interesting, first let me deal with the Spofford. As you indicated, I spent the night in Spofford. It was a different setting of my understanding. We had individuals locked in cells from when I was there. And anytime you hear of any abuse of a young person, particularly when they're in care, is concerning, and it's going to go to process. An investigation and the suit is underway, and we're going to allow the system to take the necessary process and look at the evidence and make a determination of what happened there. But I did not see, and I was not aware of that in the overnight stay that I had there.
Does that make it, the fact that you were there, does it make you more sympathetic to what they're saying?
I don't want to go into being sympathetic or not. Anytime a young person is abused, it's troublesome, it's problematic, but this is a court case, and I think we should allow it to go as proper procedure. I don't want anything I say to interfere with the case at all.
Mayor, can I just add, and ACS is already working on updating many policies. We've learned so much over these years. Many of these cases are from the 70s, just to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to do with training and with oversight. And so we will continue to look at the investigation, but even while that's going on, we've updated many policies.
A large number of these cases predate this administration. We want to be clear on that. This is something that people are raising from years ago. Brownsville is concerned. We did such an amazing job in Brownsville of decreasing crime, increasing unemployment. We've really focused, and I always felt Brownsville was the bellwether on how well we're doing as a city. When I spoke with the team over the weekend, it was really alarming that the number of young people under the age of 21 that are in possession of guns and are using the guns. And listen, we're clear. We still are moving in the right direction. Crime is decreasing, particularly in shootings and homicides, but that's not a consolation when your loved one is a victim of a shooting. And we're clear on that. Our focus is to continue to look at what's happening there. Is this gang-driven? That's what we believe it is, and to really respond to it accordingly, like we've done throughout the city. But it just reinforces what we've been saying for the longest. Too many guns on our streets, too many repeated offenders are armed with these weapons, and you see some of the targets were innocent people, and that is why we have to take a real close look at what are we doing with recidivism and repeated offenders that are carrying guns. And I'm asking for our partners in government to really understand we have to go after them. DA Gonzalez took down a dangerous gang, I think about 2 weeks ago, but that is the focus.
Oh, were you not raising your hand? I'm sorry.
No, but I have a question.
Oh, okay.
I have questions.
I thought I saw you raise your hand.
It's okay, I have questions. Have a good day to you, Mayor Adams. A belated Happy Father's Day to you. A couple of questions for you. My first question to you is, the Post and New York One has reported that Assemblymember Raj Kumar is potentially looking to run for comptroller in 2025. I wanted to know if she would have your support. We know that you two have been allies when it comes to politics. I also wanted to ask you about Bishop Lamore Whitehead. Today he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. He previously claimed he was a mentee of yours. Can you give a reaction to that? And then final question on the budget. It's 2 more weeks till the budget is due. The Citizens Budget Commission had sent a letter to you and Speaker Adams talking about starting with a budget that's accurate and transparent. I wanted to get a comment from you. Do you feel like it's unfair that they're saying that the budget that you're starting with is not accurate, that you're not starting with the appropriate numbers?
First, Bishop Whitehead is in my prayers, and I wish the best for him. I know there was a story in the Daily News about he and I exchanging texts and comments that I made. Listen, first I want to deal specifically with that. Ingrid and I have been together for over 30 years. We're siblings, and no article is going to rip us apart. People have tried that for years. We stood side by side throughout this entire journey, and we're going to continue to do so. And when I voice my private anger to someone or something that happens, I think nothing is more harmful when you debate with your siblings or your spouses, for all of a sudden for it to be broadcasted in public. It's not something you want to see, and I'm pretty sure all of us have made comments they would like to take back, and they feel harmful. I just don't understand why people get a great level of joy of, taking private moments and exploiting them. But that's the role of being the mayor of the city of New York, and it goes with it. But I love my sister loved me, and we've shown that love throughout the years. And I pray for Bishop Whitehead is in my prayers.
And then the question the Assemblywoman potentially running for comptroller? Does she have your support?
It's right now, it's 2024. I'm focused on making the city more affordable, livable, and safe. The candidates that's going to run in 2025, they're going to make that announcement. I think she's a great assembly person. She's one of the hardest working assemblywomen, what she has done around cannabis issues, what she has done around bringing the issues of that's important to not only her constituency but the entire state. And so I am, pleased with her, no matter what office she decides to be in. She has been a real ally for the people of the city.
And then the last question is on the budget. We're 2 weeks away. The Citizens Budget Commission sent you that letter and the speaker about starting with an accurate and fair budget. Did you have a comment on that? Do you feel like you and the council are still far apart when it comes to the pot of money that you're starting with?
We're going to be all right. I joke and say AA Airlines land the plane. We had these conversations before. I think we should just hold on to old reels of these same conversations. We hear when we go up to Albany, that we're not going to get anything done, we do it. We hear when it's come down to budgetary season, we do it. We're going to land the plane, and we're going to make sure that we deal with the real affordability crisis that's facing the city. This city and this country, people are really concerned about their ability to put food on the table and to provide for their families. And I have a lot of confidence in the speaker. Coming from working class communities, we realize how important it is for us to get it right, and we're going to get it right. We got it right 2 times before. There's no reason we can't get it right again.
Morning, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
All good. I get 2 questions.
Yes.
The first has to do with a story we did this week on Millicent Reddick. Millicent Reddick, she was one of the people charged on the straw donor Troy Montgomery thing. So in May 21, you met with her and 6 of her friends in her apartment in Harlem. And in July 23, around the time she was indicted, the press office, your press office, said you didn't know her, that the only person charged in that you did know is Troy Montgomery. So, based on that meeting in 2021, we know that that wasn't fully accurate. Can you explain why your press office said you didn't know her at the time when you had that meeting in 2023?
Yeah, this may be challenging, really, for people to understand the thousands of people I meet every day in rooms with, hundreds of people. When I do my town hall, hundreds of people are in there. When I sit in round tables, gatherings, as I walk the streets, when I'm on the subway. So, someone one time asked that similar question. I took a picture with someone on the subway, and they said, you don't know them. You said you didn't know them, but here's a picture of you standing next to them. This is the nature of the beast. I'm the mayor of the city of New York, 8.3 million people, Michael. I don't remember everyone who's in the room. But let's be very clear, what the district attorney made clear, we had no involvement in what was wrongdoing. I meet with hundreds of people every single day.
The second question has to do, it's more of a broad question. There are all these kind of probes ongoing now. There are at least 3 federal probes we know of. There are 2 state probes out of the DA's office, and I'm not sure how many DOI ones, but there are multiple DOI probes. So, you've said before in this room, you follow the law. Why do you think there are all these, there's so many at once? I can't remember a time when there were so many at once into campaign administration, people around administration. Why do you think all this is going on, given your background as a cop and what you've told us, which I take at face value that you follow the law?
I'm going to continue to do that. I'm focused on running the city. It's all part of the process. I'm going to focus on making the city affordable and safe for New Yorkers. I don't speculate. Let's follow the process.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. I'm well, sir. How are you? I have a question regarding the updated numbers for how many students are in summer rising, how many young people are in the police academy summer camp, And what's the other one? Summer camp, youth rising. And how many young people are in the summer youth employment program registered for this summer? And with regards to Summer Rising and the Police Academy summer camp, are the applications closed?
GM, you got it? Okay.
Hi, Mona. It's good to see you. So first, on summarizing, the number of letters that have gone out is over 110, 118 approximately. 108 has been placed for summarizing. For the Police Academy number, I have to get back to you. I'll get those numbers from NYPD and give them to you. For the Summer Youth Employment Program, we have about 94,000 that have been placed. 18% of those, as I mentioned before in our conversation 2 weeks ago, are from the 6th precinct, and that goes to the earlier question about the rise in gun violence in those districts, specifically in Brownsville. So 18,000 of them come from those 6 precincts, one of them which is in Brownsville. About 13% of them come from NYCHA specifically, and also from the foster care system. So before, it was sort of a lottery, first come, first served. Now the YCD has paid close attention to where the students come from, the participants come from, where they live, and not only the placement of the zip code, but also what kind of housing they're coming from, as well as what system are they coming from in terms of being placed.
How much did you say for Summer Rising?
For Summer Rising,
Yes.
have been placed at this moment 94,000. 94. Yes, and the goal is the same as last year, 100,000.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Welcome. What's happening?
Same old. So the Post reported over the weekend on this open drug use outside of some places in Midtown, mainly transit hubs and tourist locations. Just wondering what your administration is looking to do to address this. Do you think it's having any effect on tourism, specifically in New York City? And any other comment you'd like to make on that? And also just, and this might be more for Deputy Mayor, so the number of asylum seekers has been kind of steady. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the question. So the asylum seekers over the last, I guess, like 5-6 months now has been about 1,200 to 1,400 every week coming in. But we're still stagnant on this number of around 65,000 that are in the city shelters. And this is on top of having the 30 and 60-day rule being in effect. Has there been any talks of maybe making a stricter rule for 30 to 60 days? Is there any other policies in the works? Because it just doesn't seem to be really moving the needle at this point. I know decreased a little bit once it went from 3,000 to 4,000 a week, but since then, since it's been at 12 to 1,400, it hasn't gone down.
Well, we've had 200,000 that has entered our city, and we're still getting, like you state, those who are coming in. And when you look at it, of 200,000, as the Daily News editorial page pointed out, how we're handling this. DM Williams-Isom should really be commended on being able to do this. And when you, that's a nice little quote. And when you look at the overall homeless issue, I think that if there's one place that this administration is going to be really acknowledged for successfully handling is this issue right here. The large influx, the continuous influx that's coming in, it has not stopped. With the combination of the Chief of Staff and DM Williams-Isom and their team, it's to not look like other cities and even our homeless population. Do we have the chart of the homeless population? See our little small, little blue, all the way to the far left? That's New York. Percentage of population experiencing homelessness living unsheltered. New York is the smallest number. That's that little small bar. I was never good at reading these bars in school, but now that I realize the importance of that class. We are doing a good job. I walked down 34th and 8th Avenue. I was on the street, walking down, talking to those who were living in those conditions. And Michael, I don't remember the faces of all of them. I met a lot of people when I was walking that day on 8th Avenue, 34th Street at 10 p.m. And there are limitations of what we could do. if someone is just sitting there and they are under the influence of drugs, we can't lock them up. You know, there are real rules on what we can do, and we have to abide by those rules, and that's what we're doing. But we're constantly monitoring the situation. DM Williams ISOM team, Molly Parks, and others, we're sending teams out there to give them the care. Some people don't want that care. Some people, it just takes a long time to build up. And even Norman Siegel, who has really helped by getting a group of volunteers, he has been extremely helpful around this. But it is a challenge because of how our laws are written in this city. You cannot walk up to someone that appears to be under the influence of some substance and state that you're going to remove them from where they are. We're using every tool possible. That's an important piece of real estate, and we want to continue to attract tourism, which we are doing, but we have to do it within the law.
I just want to add, when you were talking about the census, 3 thoughts I had. One is that when you look at it, it is going down. It's going down slowly. And when I think about the fact that we're just really starting extenuating circumstances, and so people have 30 days, and unless there's an extraordinary circumstance that we're going to be asking them to leave the system, I think we're seeing some of that happen right now. The third thing, Craig, is that the summertime is a great time to resettle children and families, and so we're going to be working really closely with the state in order to do that. And so I'm very excited about this opportunity now that kids will be getting out of school soon to really see where are the places that other people want to resettle. So right now there's no plans to increase another policy, but again, we'll look at the numbers really closely. The only other thing I wanted to add to what the mayor said is that one of the things I like most about working here for the city is the way that all different agencies have been working together for these complicated issues. And so whether it's the Department of Health, along with Homeless Services, along with the Police Department, along with Sanitation, along with our nonprofits, places like at Central Park or on 125th Street, or places where there's, really intense issues, we're working together to figure out what is it that we can be doing better to really get people connected to treatment.
And when you look at that precinct, crime is down. We have a 14% decrease in crime, go up to into June. So the precinct commanders are doing the right thing. They're on the street. But I cannot overemphasize this chart. I mean, look at this chart. Look, and none of them have 200,000 migrants and asylum seekers that we have to care for, feed, house, educate. Look at LA, look at Portland, look at Vegas, look at Phoenix, look at San Diego. We're a victim of our success because no one is seeing the tents that are out there. No one is seeing the encampments. We're a victim of our success, and I really hope that all you guys and ladies go on a road show this year and go look at these cities. Go visit these cities, and then come back here and say, Deputy Mayor Williams ISOM, job well done.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. I wanted to ask about this heat wave. You mentioned cooling centers at the top. You mentioned cooling centers, the importance of cooling centers. My understanding is that some of these are located in public libraries, which are closed on Sundays, as you know. Will the city's libraries be open on Sunday, including those that are serving as cooling centers? Also, have you given any thought to opening the city's public pools, which are also going to be closed during the heat wave?
Yeah, the budget. First of all, we didn't call for libraries to be closed on Sunday. We need to be clear on that. That's a soundbite that people have embraced, but that was not our decision to close libraries on Sundays. The libraries made the decision on how they were going to find savings. And that was one of the decisions that they made. But the budget process is still going on. We're looking forward to selling the budget, and whatever way we can keep people cool, we want to do so. The pools being open, Deputy Mayor Joshi, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So our pools are scheduled to be open on June 27th, and there's a lot that goes into filling the pools, making sure the filtration systems work, and making sure they're adequately staffed. And so we have to stick to that schedule to make sure that everything is in order when they are open. In the meantime, though, our beaches are open and our sprinklers are open in the playgrounds, and we encourage people to take the advice about how to to stay cool, make sure you're hydrating, do anything strenuous early in the morning, seek out air conditioning, and also ensure that people apply for HEAP benefits, which was the way to get free indoor air conditioning. Just Google HEAP. That's actually the easiest way for me to tell the public about how to connect with those, but do it right away because there is not enough funding in that program to cover cooling assistance. It was originally designed for winter heat assistance, and now as climate change progresses, cooling is becoming just as much of a real life-changing event, or sorry, life-defeating event for many people.
Jake, I would also point out that as if you listened to the press conference earlier today, that they made very clear that the heat wave is supposed to go through Friday. So your question about Sunday doesn't really make sense. But Commissioner Iskel is here and can talk to if there's a heat wave on Sunday, where else is it available to?
Yeah. So the forecast is still developing for the weekend and into next week, but it does look like the worst of it is going to be Thursday and Friday, especially when you look at the heat index, which is the thing that you really have to pay attention to, because that's how it feels and that's where the real danger is. In terms of the cooling centers, we've now have over 500 cooling centers across the city. We've also done a lot of work this year to change our messaging. In the past, we really talked just about directing people to cooling centers. This year, we're really encouraging people to think about cool spaces, right? That could be everything from going to, certain parks with different types of facilities, going to coffee shops, restaurants, the movie theater, a museum. It could be the library. We've also invited every elected in the city to participate in our cooling center program this year so that they can open up their offices as cooling centers and be listed on the map, businesses, other organizations. So we're really trying to get New Yorkers to think about what are cool options, cool spaces, a friend's house, someplace with air conditioning they go to. That's not just a cooling center. That's one option. We have more cooling centers in the city than any other city in the country, but there's a lot of places people can go and think about to get cool during periods of high heat.
Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I know that Governor last week spoke about possibly implementing a mask ban. I was hoping you could explain just a little bit what you were thinking about this. Would it be just on public transit? Would it be everywhere in public spaces? And how would you ensure that people who need a mask could actually wear one? And then for you, Deputy Mayor, I was just hoping you could also just give a migrant update just on numbers and how many people have moved upstate and just what are some of the roadblocks there?
The mask, I had several conversations with the governor, and I talked about the mask issue for some time now. I asked storekeepers to have people pull down their mask before even temporarily, and it's all about a question. Someone has a mask and they ask if you're wearing a mask for health reasons, people could respond. So it's all about the proper implementation, and the law was in place. It was in place. It was removed after COVID. I'm a strong supporter of the decision of stopping mask on our subway system, mask in protests, and mask in other areas where it's not health related. And I think that you're going to see a great deal of very violent protests and some of this despicable behavior we're seeing. I think you're going to see it dissipate. Because, masks are not new, and covering your face while you do terrible things is not new. There were these guys that used to ride around with hoods in the Deep South. So cowards cover their faces. If you believe in something, then stand up and show your face and believe it and talk about it. But standing on our trains, telling people if you're Zionist, raise your hand and get off, show your face and say that. So I believe the governor's in the right place, and I strongly support it, and I hope we get it done. And I'm happy to hear from what I read that even AG is looking in this direction. The quicker we do it, I think it's going to stop a lot of these crimes we're seeing. People are using masks to commit crimes, to commit assaults. The difficult thing for the police department is defining suspects because of their full covering. And this is going to help us greatly.
Oh, yes, sorry, very quickly. And these numbers just are, unbelievable. Since spring of 2022, over 200,600 migrants have come through our intake center. Currently, there's 65,600 migrants in our care. Again, if you combine that with our traditional homeless services, we're caring for over 120,000 people in the city right now. And last week, from 6/3 to 6/9, more than 1,200 new migrants have come into our shelter. You also remember that about 60% of those 200,000 have already made their way to other jurisdictions. We are not studying where people are going next. People are going to, now communities are forming. People are going to other families and friends. They're going to places where they are able to settle, to be in different schools. And so I don't have that, but I think right now, and Camille, tell me if I'm wrong, I think there's about 1,200 people that are still upstate, and that's the amount, and we have 500 that are in the
JFS program in Buffalo, and we have about 1,200 to 1,500 additional individuals, and we are working very closely with the state on resettling them now.
Let me just point out I think the numbers are from the week prior, actually.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to get new numbers because since we moved this to Monday, we get the new numbers today. So we'll get the new numbers. So and I think you just got one number off. It's 202,600 as of last week.
Thank you.
202,600 as of last week. We'll get you an updated number today.
Thanks, Fabian.
Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
Good. I wanted to ask you to respond to a statement that the public advocate, Jamani Williams, made recently on social media. He said, "I hope that New York City Mayor at some point lifts up the pain that Palestinian and Muslim New Yorkers are in and have yet to hear one word from him about." And I also wanted to point out today is Eid al-Adha. It's a very important festival, as you know. Last year, you were the first mayor to have a celebration for Muslims in Gracie Mansion for Eid. I think that was for the end of Ramadan. And I was wondering if there will be one again this year, and if not, why not?
Just first of all, to the public advocate, 8.3 million people, 35 million opinions. He shared one of his opinions. I think that those who follow me for years know my consistency around the Muslim community. It didn't start here. I'm sure Inga can go back to on the Senate floor debating with a Islamophobic Greg Ball. What I've done when women was attacked for wearing a hijab. How I visited mosques when others weren't, how I called for peace in Yemen, how I called for what is happening in West Africa, what's happening in the Sudan, where you have a large, significant Muslim population. I'm consistent. I talk about the awful, barbaric action of Hezbollah and Hamas. And throughout the years, I didn't start doing this, did not. The Muslim Officers Society was started with my attorney after their wives were being attacked. After 9/11, they came to me and asked me to assist them during those times. So I have a long record of not just talking about what is wrong, what's happening, and I talked about what's happening in Gaza and what's happening across our entire globe. No innocent person should die, and I just find it challenging that people don't realize how despicable it is to go to a place like the Nova exhibit and wave flags of Hamas, calling themselves Hamas, and make a mockery and desecrate the pain that people are experiencing even while hostages were not turned around. So I'm consistent, and I've always been consistent, and I'm going to continue to be consistent. And so the public advocate has opinion, and he has the right to his opinion, but I know the facts. And the facts is that I'm consistent about standing up on behalf of people.
I would also just point out, since you asked specifically, we did have a Ramadan event at the Surrogates Courthouse. It was covered by a number of people. We also have an Eid event coming up. Yes. Yeah. And I would also point out the mayor, since October 7th, has spoken out dozens of times about the loss of life on both sides, the innocent loss of life, including on, I can give you the whole list, starting on October 7th. So it's been, since the very beginning, he's been very consistent, as he just said.
Right, and I think there's one.
The advocate is saying that the mayor has not mentioned the words Palestine, Gaza.
I could show you the transcripts. I could show you the transcripts that say different.
Right.
or you can go on our website and look at the transcripts.
Yeah, and we're not saying it's coming from you. We got that. People want to define for you and use the words they want you to use as you express yourself. I don't do that to him, and I don't do it to anyone else. Let's be clear, and you said something that's very important. We had 109 mayors. I was the first to have an Eid celebration. With 109 mayors, I was the first to raise flags of countries down at Bowling Green. I was the first to hold celebrations for various groups at Gracie Mansion. 109 mayors. The 110th opened the city up to everybody.
Hey, Mayor, a couple of quick questions about the Rent Guidelines Board vote tonight. You appoint the members. Tenants are facing up to a 6.5% increase for a 2-year lease. I'm wondering how you feel about that. There's been a lot of concern from advocates, tenants, that that is just too much money at this point and that they can't afford it. It's going to be difficult for a lot of people to pay those increases. And then my second question was asking about the budget, following up on the budget. I've heard from some people on the city council side that they don't feel negotiations are proceeding well. They're concerned. Is there something particular you're looking for? Their concern is about some of the cuts to pre-K, cultural institutions, libraries, and whether you will restore those cuts. How do you feel negotiations are going? Do you see any hopes for any of those cuts being restored fully?
The RGB is always concerning. Quoting the great philosopher, the rent is too damn high. People are hurting. Affordability is crucial in the city, and we are really hoping that there's a low end to, if any increase at all. I share the concerns of advocates and others. We need to make sure we keep the city affordable, and we're going to continue to fight for affordability in the city. I know what it is to struggle. I know what it is, to worry about, your food and your rent. All of those things. So we're going to continue to advocate based on, the concerns of New Yorkers. Who's taking the next question?
The budget?
Yeah. The budget. I can't say this. Yeah. Yeah. I can't say this clear enough, and I said it over and over again. I can sit in the room every year and play the recordings of you asking these same questions. We're going to land the plane, folks. We've done it twice. Adrian and I are very competent. We know how to get in the room and land the plane. We didn't go to any specialized and private schools. We went to Bayside. And Baysiders, we know how to figure things out when you don't have enough to figure them out. My mom was a correction officer. My mother was a cook in a daycare center. We used to eat the leftovers from the Tupperware and the recycled aluminum foil. We know how to make this happen. I don't think we're getting full credit of the success that Adrian and I have done over and over again with 200,000 migrants cycling out of COVID, dealing with overproliferation of guns that we had to handle on the street, reducing the cost of child care. We've done a great job. So why do y'all feel we're not going to do it again? It's going to be all right. All we have to do is do what I do in the morning. Just do your breathing exercises and meditate and eat a green smoothie. We'll be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Trust me, Jeff. It's going to be all right.
Thank you. There's a big congressional primary happening between Jamal Bowman and George Latimer. Just last week, Jamal Bowman was asked to grade you, gave you a 2 out of 10. I'm wondering if you've been paying attention to that race, if you're planning on getting involved at all in that, and also in other primaries. I mean, it's a week from tomorrow. Are you going to get involved with other legislative primaries, endorse, rally for folks, that kind of thing?
There's a 2 out of 10 chance I'll get involved in his race. Wherever I'm needed, and I do an analysis that the persons or the individuals are going to be helpful to the people of this city to help us deal with this affordability issue and public safety issue we have, we'll make that consideration. I normally don't deal with the politics. Ingrid normally handles that, but I'm going to make sure that the people are going to fight for New Yorkers. I think some don't fight hard enough for New Yorkers.
And would you grade Brad Lander?
Mr.
How are
Mayor.
you?
I have two questions. One, June 30th, there is a Polish festival in Staten Island, and I know you received an invitation. I'm MC for that festival. I wanted to ask if you plan on attending. But the second question is about migrants, and I want to ask if city is looking into placing migrants in private housing and covering the costs of that. I'm also asking about city-funded rental assistance vouchers, if that's something. I don't know, it cannot be used for undocumented migrants, but if there is any progress on that. I received information that brokers are getting a lot of calls from the city to make their people who are listing apartments for rent to really consider taking the offer from the city to use the program. So I'm just asking for comment on that.
Well, first, as you may be aware, I'm the first mayor, I believe, to march in the Polish Day Parade. I think I was the first mayor to march in many of our parades. It took 110 mayors before we understand that the city is made up of different ethnic groups. Not only do I march in the large ones, but I go to those parades that people often ignore. And I'm looking forward to seeing if I could get out to the event on Staten Island. When I was a lieutenant in the 9-4 precinct, I saw the beauty of the Polish community and their contribution to our city. Long before Greenpoint was this cool place, the Polish community, they were there long before Starbucks discovered the place. And so I'm hopeful that I can make it to the festival, but even if I can't, I trust you, just as I've done before. I would be supporting the Polish community and what they stand for.
And as long as housing migrants in private residences, or?
I have not heard anything.
Remember there was an idea to kind of maybe start looking into that, because there is lack of housing, so to offer people money so they can house migrants. I'm wondering if that's.
Oh, you mean like if a private citizen wants to have I know other jurisdictions are doing that. We don't have we do not have a program for that, and we're not looking into that.
Right, we have no plan to do that.
Nope.
No.
Go, get Katie. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to ask you, filed your, when they public, the Conflict of Interest Board documents. I know back in October when you, whenever you went to South America, now I'm getting my trips confused. You said, October, you said, I pay my own way. I think the quote was, my dime, my time, don't whine, or something like that. But in your filing, you said actually. Okay, sorry. So for this, I don't know if you would disclose how much the trip was paying, especially taxpayers, but it was paid for by the North Capitol Forum for your trip to Mexico, and then the government of Colombia paid for the trip when you went to Colombia. So I don't know if that was disclosed earlier, and if not, why. And then secondly, I know you also note that you went to the U.S. Open. That was on this year's. It wasn't on last year's when you attended. Were your 2022 U.S. Open tickets also? Why were they not included on the initial form?
Okay, so let's go back. I was in Puerto Rico. That I flew to Puerto Rico on my time, my dime. Puerto Rico. I'm sorry. Is the way?
I believe that was Brock Pierce's plane, right?
But it was my time and my dime. He that billionaire. But that billionaire did not pick up the cost. It was my time and my dime. That was what that quote was from. You know, I think you were there and you cornered me as soon as I came when I was, trying to enjoy the beach on my time and my dime. I don't believe I went to the U.S. Open last year, did I?
You went for a minute.
What did I do?
You gave remarks for the opening and then left after
This was
about a minute.
2023?
You went 22 and 2023.
I'm referring to what was not in the 2023 filing, but you had gone in 2022, and I'm just curious why it wasn't on your.
Okay, I have to look at it and see the questions. Give the question to Fabian. Let me look at it and I'll be able to determine. I'm all over the place, man. All this stuff mushed together, man. I don't keep up with all this stuff. You guys cannot imagine what a day in the life of Eric Adams. When y'all read my book, you guys are going to say, I cannot believe one human being went through this for 4 years. This is an unbelievable story. When I go over my my notes for the day, Marsha, I'm like, good God. So we'll look over it. And if there's an error, we'll correct it. That's what we'll do.
And secondly, what is the conflict? Are you traveling tomorrow or the rest of this week? Is that why
I
didn't have
said that. Where'd you get that from?
Oh, no, I don't know. It's a scheduling conflict. I don't know.
Well, the conflict could be many things. I may go cigar with Michael Garland, or I may go to Rockaway Beach and say hello to your mom. Because everybody knows I'm a mama's boy. So God only knows what we're doing tomorrow. Fabian said, Eric.
And Fabian.
Right. Fabian said, Eric, I want to notify the press ahead of time so they can have an opportunity, because I know how much joy you have being with them on Tuesdays. So they're going to be with you on Monday. And so, you put out the schedule what time?
It'll be out this evening, and so you'll get it on the evening.
Yeah, in the evening. He'll let you know.
We can always do another off-topic.
Feel free to say.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to circle back on Jeff's question about the RGB vote tonight. Specifically, activists are asking for a rent freeze or a rollback. What do you think of those ideas? I mean, I know you've spoken a lot about landlords also needing the money to keep their properties up. And then separately last week, there was quite a long and contentious city council hearing on the bill to end broker's fees for tenants, or shift it on to whoever is hiring the broker. I guess just since then, has your thinking on that bill evolved at all? Do you have any more to share about where you stand on it?
Evolve as in changing my position, because I never gave my position. I think we should.
Evolve from not giving your position to giving.
Oh, got it. I got it. No, I think let the process go out. Let's hear the conversations around it. I think if you do an analysis of a lot of folks who are debating this, they were never a real estate agent. I was. I know what it is, as I said last week, of driving people around for the whole day, and they decide they're not going to rent, but you lost the whole day. And I think that really this is in aligned with both questions. I don't know, when people think of rent, they often think of the folks who own hundreds and thousands of apartments. You look at that landlord that has a 16-unit, and all of their resources are in there, and they're providing a clean, safe place for people. We have to find a sweet spot. We have to find a middle ground. I know New York is hurting. I know that the city and country has become inflation is real. Just the other day, with $100 bought me a little while ago, it's not buying me now, And so we have to find a way that we don't run out those landlords, particularly those small property owners, that they're seeing this increase also. They're realizing this is a time when New Yorkers are going to have to come together and say, how do we get through this? Because they're feeling it also. I speak with them. I see them. I know what they're going through. My tenants have not had a rent increase, and when they signed into my building, I said, I'm not going to raise your rent as long as you're there, and they have not. They have not had that increase, but not everyone is able to do that. So we have to find a sweet spot. We want a low end if there's an increase, so that New Yorkers are hurting, and we have to do the best we can to get people through this period.
And just so you know, if you want to keep rent down or from rising, build a little more housing in every neighborhood.
So the Red Guidelines Board, they have a very challenging task, right? And it's hard every year, but they do the best that they can with the data that is provided. As the mayor has said, the higher end of that preliminary vote is untenable for tenants. And so we've been very clear about that since the preliminary vote came out, and tonight's vote is critical. And that is one piece of this overall puzzle that we have to solve in this city. You see it in the very vocal opinions that we hear from tenants every time there's an RGB vote. You see it in the number of applicants to the reopened wait list for NYCHA, right? More than 600,000. And so we can play around the margins, but that is not the long-term solution to this issue. We've been very focused on increasing supply, and that's why we've been really focused working with the City Council at community boards to get City of Yes for housing opportunity passed through the City Council by the end of the year. It's why we wasted no time in implementing the new tools we got from Albany this year in the housing package with a set of intake procedures for the extension for 421A, the new program, and the office conversion program. And it's why every closing season, HPD and our Housing Development Corporation work overtime to finance more and more units of housing. So it's going to take all of that to really solve and get to the root of the problem, but we've been laser focused on it since day one.